Zelazny might have a run here. He pulls up. 2 laps to go at Auto Club Speedway. What a run this has been. 5 cars out front just dancing around for the lead. Salas back to the bottom. Honeycutt stuck up top. Slide job out of Salas. Crossover out of Honeycutt.
23 showing a big run here. He does.
You see Salas starting to cover it up. He goes up the racetrack. Honeycutt's clear of them both. He shoves it up in front of the 23, gets himself loose. It'll be white flag this time by. Salas down low. Zelazny looking for a hole. Side by side, 3 wide, Coffee in it. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. Brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Who is going to win the Luke's Playhouse 200? Honeycutt controlling the race. Coffee in second. Tires are aging. Zelazny off the top rope. Got a little bit free. He's going to crash with lights. And yes, wall there. Who knows? Honeycutt, though, leading the race. Can Coffee get a run? He's going to send it. He hits him. Big bump and run. Coffee's going to try and get away. Can Salas get there? Coffee's going to crash. Salas is going to crash. Watch Nick Lights here to the stripe. Salas is going to do it with no front bumper.
Unbelievable.
Wow. There's the white flag from Barney the Flagman. 1 lap to go at Long Beach. White flag is out, brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams.
Yeah, can really hold him off. He looked like he's started to gap Cantonio just ever so slightly. Got about half of a second. It's been hovering right around there. Oh, Cantonio really pushing. He's sideways out of turn number 1. But Rayleigh just keeping that car pointed in the right direction. Nice and smooth, able to keep it going. It's going to be tough. Antonio knows that there's not very many chances, even if you can get close enough to him to make a move. So we'll see as they come through 6 and 7, head toward turn 8 onto the backstretch.
Deeper in the field, nothing changing. Lap traffic ahead. It's Kevin Peak and Bradley Alvis right in front of our race leaders down East Seaside Way. and to turn number 9 for the final time. Lap traffic in the way, and Rayleigh goes for it on peak. He sends it into turn 9. He knows he can't wait. He knows he can't give an opportunity to Kevin Cantonio. Cantonio's gonna take it anyway, ships it into the hairpin, and Rayleigh's gonna get away. Thomas Rayleigh is going to be a race winner in the North American Racing League. A last lap bump and run wasn't enough. This man wins at Long Beach.
Wow, what a finish coming through that hairpin. I thought they were all gonna wad it up. We had lap traffic in there, staying in there.
While 26 races lie ahead for the entire AARN field to crown the 2026 champion, it's the final round of the AARN Dash for Cash this season, and young phenom Jordan White has a 15-point advantage. Can Robert Hissong or Coulter Clark catch up? Can we see a spoiler winner in the Lone Star State? Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Fort Worth, Texas. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Murtis alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the MX Wraps 201. Today's coverage is brought to you by Bully Dog Coffee Company, by MX Wraps, and by Whiplash Sim Cams. We'll, of course, first take a look at the Texas Motor Speedway via the track map. 1.5 miles in length, 2.41 kilometers each time around this racetrack, and the capacity of 75,000 people. There is a huge grandstand blanketing the stretch from turn 4 to turn 1, the front stretch, the front straightaway, whatever you want to call it, the dog legs. A huge stadium grandstand. 75,000 people can cram in there for this quad oval racetrack. And of course, this racetrack was reprofiled, but we now have the starting to age bumpy version of Texas versus the super gripped up Texas that once was. So these guys, yes, they have the new configuration of the racetrack, but it has been aged slightly. The points coming into today look like this, with Zach King on top, Sean Hughes in the second spot, and starting to slip further and further behind Zach King. He's been up top of the standings the last several weeks, and is starting to get away from this field. But Jordan White up into the 4th spot. Coulter Clark moving closer and closer to the top 10. They are trying to keep tabs, there we go, on Zach King. Hughes, Combs, I think they're starting to realize this guy is a real threat for the championship. And Casey Gross, Chris Romano, Christopher Foote, all still looking for their first win, alongside Robert Husong, who is still winless. The last couple of race winners, the last couple of weeks, we were at Bristol 3 races ago. The last 2 winners, Cameron Combs and Coulter Clark, I believe. Coulter Clark, I believe, won at Kansas. No, or was it regardless? It was either Coulter or Jordan. And then Talladega last time out was won by Cameron Combs. And we can take a look at the schedule for 2026. And hey, we've got some Arizona natives. We got one that grew up in Kingman. I grew up in Bullhead City. Boy, it's a small world. Anyways, there we go. There's the Next Gen Cup schedule for the All-American Racing Network. Daytona, Atlanta, Dover to kick things off. We were at Dover. We missed Atlanta and Phoenix. We were back through Las Vegas, Darlington, Martinsville, Bristol. Then we were away for Kansas and Talladega. Back here at Texas today. And we'll be back in 2 weeks' time when these guys go to Watkins Glen for the next race after today. So from Dash for Cash Racing at 1.5 miles to road course racing in a couple of weeks. Wow, it's rare you find somebody else from iRacing that is from the same county as you when it's Mojave County. Anyways, cars hitting the racetrack, getting ready to grid up here this morning. Look at that. I didn't say evening yet, but there are cars on the racetrack. Let's go through quickly Whiplash Simcam's race details. There they are, 134 laps, 201 miles for the race. The rest is about the same as we know. 4 change sets here today. 60% fuel. The cautions will count, of course. Green, white, checkers if we need them. And the weather conditions for this race, there we go. 73 degrees in the air, 76 on track. Humidity just over 50%. The wind's a little high out of the northeast. And mostly cloudy skies around the virtual facility. While these guys are ready to go rolling, if you are in the Pit Stop TV Discord, there is still time to play the AARN fantasy game. You've got to join the Discord quick. There you see Whiplash Fantasy for AARN. Whiplash Creative brings fantasy gaming to Pit Stop TV and to AARN. This season, play the AARN fantasy game in the Pit Stop TV Discord server. It's free to play. We're still working on some rewards for that. We've graciously been given notice by TZO Designs that he'll put up a die-cast stand for the champion of the AARN fantasy game this season. And we're looking to add some more rewards. In fact, we'll go over the fantasy standings here in a little bit. We'll go through the grid first and then get to those fantasy standings. But there's still time to play. If you're in the Pit Stop TV Discord, link at the bottom of this graphic, you can still join and play. Well, these guys about to roll off the grid. That's the wrong graphic. Hang on, let's bring this down. Let's go through the ATVO starting grid. On pole this morning, how about Coulter Clark in the number 54 alongside teammate Jordan White, Whiplash Racing, holding down the front of the field. Second row, Cameron Combs, Doug Scalus. You can see Combs is ready to play for this Dash for Cash win. Chris Romano, Zach King, neither of those drivers in the Dash for Cash. The 3 drivers in it today are at the front of the field. Michael Alley, Casey Gross there in row number 4 to complete your top 10. How about Thaddeus Field in the 98? Thaddeus Friel, rather. That's who was typing in YouTube chat. And Elijah Mopin there in position number 10. Back to position 11, you'll find Mark Bender and Chris Perry alongside one another. Back in row number 7, Chad Fox and Gregory Vad Nice, followed by Michael Ravillo and Corey Powell. A couple more rows, Austin Adams, Chris Etchapar, Sean Hughes, and Mark Helsell at the back. 134 laps at Texas Motor Speedway. 201 miles brought to you by MX Wraps. The winner gets themselves a free MX Wrap painted by me. Here we go, around to the restart zone. We'll turn the music down, turn the engines up. We're turning things over to Coulter Clark and Jordan White into the restart zone here at Texas Motor Speedway. We are green flag racing in the Lone Star State. And down the backstretch, as the sun looks to be setting behind the grandstands, here's the run into turn 3. Coulter Clark with a big advantage already over Jordan White and everybody else behind. Jordan White second place, Chris Romano right behind. Cameron Combs already well down the order. He has to start from the back of the field as he is a top 3 points driver. Jordan White just barely missing out on that honor today as he is 4th in the standings coming into this race. Battle here, this is for position number 2. Chris Romano goes on through. Fastest lap of the race as well for the 44 car, gets by Jordan White. And now Casey Gross takes a look up at the Toyota Camry. Michael Alley right behind. He'll complete your top 5 currently. 3 laps in, this time by at Texas. The battles deeper in the field. Van Nice and Rovillo side by side. This is a turn number 3. Rovillo will give the spot away. Van Nice takes it, and then Zach King also having to work through the field. He's of course the points leader coming into today, with Sean Hughes and let me think, Cameron Combs just behind in the standings. They are all working through this field methodically. There's King in the pink and white 51. Hughes in the purple and gold 75, and then that green and gold John Deere number 15 is Cameron Combs. He's back in 17th currently. And here's Sean worker on the outside. He'll pass Sean Hughes, rather Cameron Combs, and pulls right up to Zach King. We don't have Zach Murtis yet. He told me he's on the way. Caution ahead. Casey Gross in trouble. Watch out. What a Murtis mega miss, though. Oh, it's still going. Jeez. Still a Murtis mega miss for Cameron Combs in the 15. The timing on that was oh so unfortunate. Casey Gross in trouble. Michael Rovillo in trouble. Elijah Mopin as well. Big trouble out of turn number 2 and on the back straightaway. Here's Casey Gross. Contact maybe from Alley. Got loose. Wow, some really close misses. The 98 of Friel in the wall. Wow. I'll look back. Well, a good morning to Miss King, Lillian King watching this morning. I don't think there's any contact there between Gross and Alley. Friel nowhere to go. Oh, right through the middle goes Young. Etchapar gets into it. Rovillo got a piece as well. See from this view between the 77 and 22. I wasn't sure if there was contact going into the corner. It seemed like Casey was loose on entry to begin with, and then the air on his spoiler and under the diffuser there from the 22 did not help. Nowhere for the 98 to go. The 20, the 88 slams in. And I'm still impressed by the car we were on board with at the time. Cameron Combs, let's see his run through all of this. He's right behind Zach King into turn 1. Combs goes high here in 1 and 2. Etchapar on the inside of him is going to get big time in this crash. But Combs able to swerve low, just miss it there, and then, oh, a little bump. That's okay. There's a car further up here. I believe it was this 34 of Chris Perry. He's going to have a very near miss as well. So another potential Murtis mega miss in caution number 1 of the day. Here's a look from Perry's view. Oh. And others behind were not so lucky. So caution 1 of the day, taking out a couple of very good race cars that were in the top 10, racing for position. And now we're making repairs. There's 6 in the pit lane. Casey Gross, Greg Van Nice, Chris Etchepar, Thaddeus Friel Jr., Michael Rovillo, and Mark Helsell all in the pit lane. There's Casey Gross and some more. Looks like Van Nice will launch. That's what I was calling Justin Young, by the way. It was not Young. It was Van Nice, rather. Rovillo gets out of the pit lane here. He's got a bunch of damage, so that car is not going to drive right. Casey Gross, Chris Etchepar going a lap down this time around. Rovillo as well. Thaddeus Friel out of Kingman, Arizona. Unfortunately gone 2 laps down, along with Mark Helsell. One thing we've not shown yet is the power rankings coming into this morning's race. There's a look at it. Jordan White still on top. Now, of course, there are a couple of weeks that have gone by. We were on other broadcasts, I believe Fearless broadcast in the last couple of races. So this is an update from Bristol to now. And Jordan White still on top. Zach King, Coulter Clark. Of course, those other races in between haven't figured into this graphic and these power rankings. Things are very close up top between White, King, and Clark. Very close between King and Clark. 0.2 separation there between those two drivers. Cameron Combs not far back. And I think what this shows is there are very clearly about 6 drivers all very close together at the top that can win any week. And there's a couple of others who are pretty close but just need to find the right thing. Robert Hassong, one of them. He's not here today. I think that's part of why he's been sliding down. I think he's missed a few races. So, into the restart zone this time. Lap 9 of 134. Green flag on the way. Coulter Clark gets us back racing at Texas. And a pass straight away to second place by Jordan White. He gets ahead of Chris Romano, but not by much. Side by side through 3 and 4. There goes Romano. Here comes Perry. Here comes Alley. Jordan being swallowed up right now. He was concerned coming into this race, Zach, that he might have too great of pace. I told him, brother, just relax. Go out there, get what you can. Keep the car on the racetrack. That's all you got to do to win this Dash for Cash battle. 15 points between he and Coulter Clark coming into today. His song not here, not a worry. Jordan is going backwards, but there's plenty of time.
That was insane. 3 wide around the top side. That's a beautiful pass.
So Jordan falls back to 9th, and these guys starting to get by the 83. You see King go by on the inside. Zach King up to 8th spot. Sean Hughes ahead of him. They've swapped positions as they continue their trek throughout the field. Here's the view to the outside of Jordan White through turns 1 and 2. Elijah Mopin trying to pass. He will get by. This is the first big chink in the armor for Jordan this season. I can't recall another time yet that I've seen him just drop back like this. This is very interesting. It's still an intermediate. He's been great on intermediates this season, but This racetrack in particular, for some reason, just not working out.
I thought it was kink in the armor.
It is a chink in the armor.
Why is it a chink?
I don't make the rules. I don't make the words up. Cameron Combs, he goes through to third. Chris Perry, Doug Scalise right behind. And wow, Perry and Scalise up the racetrack. Michael Alias drives underneath them. And that's going to bring Sean Hughes along with in the 75. He gets a 2-for-1 special into turn 3. And here comes King.
Down on the bottom. Gonna roll on by Scalise. Gets clear going down into 1. Oh. That was a big swing back to the wall, though. That lets Scalise close right on the bumper, but that dirty air is going to watch him back, give King a big run off turn number 2. And that's going to be sight set on Perry here for the 6th spot. I don't know, Andrew. That scared me a little bit. Usually when you see a car make a pass down there on the bottom, it's like a big swing back to the wall for their arc.
Oh!
Woo!
That was
I was
close.
going to say, it just doesn't always go well.
King and Romano, or King and Perry rather. I'm getting these cars mixed up. They're very similar, Romano and Perry.
Contact behind him. Moped and Bender. Bender got washed up into the corner, and that allows 66 to go right back by him. Here's Jordan White into the picture.
A lot of great midfield racing up front. By the way, Romano has taken the lead away from Coulter Clark. We missed that the last couple of laps. Clark has lost the lead. Romano goes by. So Romano to the point. Combs just behind, and Alley in 4th. This is not the setup I would expect at the front of the field either. Wonder if we can go and find that pass for the lead by Romano. And we seem to have found it just a couple of laps ago. There's the run through turns 3 and 4. And he just points it low, and Coulter has the wherewithal to say, yeah, you know what? You ran me down. Go ahead.
Just gets clear off corner number 2. Gives that top line still to Coulter Clark, and then merges up to the wall down the backstretch.
Clark now under pressure from Cameron Combs behind. Michael Alley still in 4th. Sean Hughes, Zach King, Doug Scalise. Here's their battle further back. With Mopin alongside Adams. Perry now alongside the 27. Or sorry, that's the 33. That's Bender. The identical paint schemes, they got me.
Ah, see, I'm not the only one they catch out.
Perry gets back by Bender into turn 3. Checks up big time. Watch out, Jordan White. Wow, that was kind of crazy to see in real time like that. Battle's further ahead as well. Coulter Clark still under fire from Cameron Combs. This the battle down the back straightaway. Of course, there are no stages in this race. 60% fuel, though, can't take you much more than, what, 30, 35 laps?
Somewhere around there, maybe 40 if they're lucky and safe.
And I just heard the downshift out of Coulter Clark, using that extra gear to get away from Cameron Combs.
Burning more fuel, though.
Yep. They're clearly saving not on these guys' minds right now. They had the caution to do it. But at least under green, they're not really concerned about it, it seems, as the top 4 started to run a little farther apart. Behind them, Zach King and Doug Scalise move the inside of the Scalise. You hear him downshift. He sweeps up the racetrack. King going to get the better of him on the outside. And behind these guys, White getting by Perry. Problems with the 34 car. It's off the pace. Go back and see what happened here to Chris Perry.
Here he is running in front of Jordan White. This is coming off a 4. So it should happen this lap. Going down into 1 now.
Up the track. Watch out. That's too high.
Let's lose.
Oh, just got the inside wall.
Doesn't look like he grabbed it too hard, though.
He's still on the racetrack. He's down to 11th. And just going a little bit slower than before. Zach King working with Elijah Mopin here. These two battling. I can't tell who's trying to pass who. I think Mopin's trying to pass King. This is a really strange race, Zach, where a lot of the guys who we expect up front are struggling. Those being Jordan White, Zach King, mostly. Even Hughes is having to come back through the field. Of course, that's due to the penalty he had at the start of the race, along with King and Combs. There you see King saving big time into turn 1. So he's putting the clutch in and coasting all the way into the center of 1 and 2. Same down here in 3 and 4. The problem, Zach, well, we'll let Jordan go there. Probably why he ran higher that time, but if he keeps running higher up the racetrack, I know he's saving fuel, but he's still working against himself and running the wider radius around the corner.
He's going to negate that fuel saving.
Not entirely, but partially, yeah.
Rolls on by Mark Bender on the bottom. Clutch in again.
No clutch in that time.
I saw the RPMs drop. Well, the caution's out, so no need for clutching and saving. And there it is, Perry around. We saw him tag the wall on the inside off of 2. Now he's finally gone and spun that race car around.
That's going to be off of turn 2 once again. For the 34 of Chris Perry, just having a rough time here. Loose off of 2 this time. Tried to catch it, overcorrected into the outside wall. Oh, man!
Ooh.
That didn't need to happen at all.
Came down right there on Ravello.
It was Adams.
Paint schemes, man. In my head,
Adams was minding his own business. It's like it was intentional. I mean, he just turned left.
I don't want to full on start saying it was looking that way. I feel like he was trying to roll the car to the bottom and just wasn't aware of who was behind him.
You got to be more heads up than that. You got to have your relative up. I mean, even just checking your mirror, I'm sorry, that's unacceptable.
Well, and what Perry's saying is,
even if just for the reason. Well, okay, I'll let you go ahead.
I was gonna say, from what he's saying on driver radio, he said he was trying to turn the wheel back and it just wouldn't go. And his steering was broken upon impact.
Here, let's watch from his driver's IPOV. I mean, he got loose, that's fine, whatever. Like, it's okay to have that happen. He made an adjustment to the left. Slow that down. Okay, this is the spin. That's fine, mistakes happen. We'll slow it down here. And watch the wheel right here. He pulled it left. I'm sorry, but that's not okay. Now, I'll be clear. I'm not saying he did that intentionally. I'm not saying he tried to take out Austin Adams. That probably was the last thing on his mind, but you have to be more aware to not ruin somebody else's race by checking your steering. Pit stops all around. Coulter Clark comes in, heads back out. We have 8 cars now in the pit lane. One of them completely disconnected. That is Casey Gross. And Austin Adams has just left the pit lane. Yeah, Zach, his car is junk. Well, if we can take a look at the... Zach, you didn't pick. This is the second week in a row. You didn't pick for this series. But we can take a look at the standings coming into today for the fantasy game. Got to get you guys picking again. We didn't have that many picked this round, but from round 1, technically, of the game, it was round 10 of the series. Chris Foot 2 and Chris Foot 1. I don't know if they're junior and senior, Zach, but I know that one is a father and one is a son, and they're both in as Chris Foot. So I'm assuming it's senior and junior, but we don't know yet. So until Christopher Foot clarifies there, we'll just label 1 and 2. They tie for the win last week at Talladega, or last race, I should say. Jordan White 9 points behind Doug Scalise on down the line. Hey, look at me, top 5 in this one. It's been rough going in these fantasy games for me so far, but...
I had to give everyone a reprieve from my amazing picks from BRB and Norris.
I'll give you that. You've had some really good picks in those leagues. I think you just got an overall win in one of them, which is annoying. But, hey, you can still join this even if you've missed last time and today. It's okay. The Whiplash Creative Fantasy game is still going with drop weeks. Doesn't matter who you are, sponsor, mom, whoever. You can join this. You can make picks each week and compete for some free stuff. Green flag this time. Just over 100 to go. Coulter Clark, Jordan White, front of the field, 2 tires each. If that. Zach, I actually implore you to go check the pit stop for Clark and White. I don't know if they took tires at all.
Well, it was a scary situation if they didn't, because Coulter Clark dipped 2 tires. You can see the marks. You saw him just there at a camera shot. He dipped 2 tires into the grass on the restart and nearly spun out on the bottom. So a really, really good save there for Coulter Clark.
I don't think they did, based on how much time Combs just made up on the 54 car. Romano's following. These guys did take tires. I don't think the Whiplash cars in the front took them. I don't think Clark or Jourdain took them.
Checking.
And Jourdain's falling back 3 wide off the corner as Coulter Clark has a mirror full of Cameron Combs. This just feels like giving Combs too much of an advantage when he just won the last race. Granted, it was at Talladega. Here comes Combs on the outside. Nothing the 54 can do.
You would be correct as well. Jordan White and Coulter Clark did not take tires on that pit stop.
It's unbelievable to me.
It's an interesting choice, I'll say.
I know you're trying to save tires, but oh, crash in the back!
Spin in the back!
Jordan White, part of it! Racing for the dash for cash, Mopin and others.
Ravillo gets tagged right there. Here in 3 wide.
I would assume from Jordan White not having tires, if I'm being honest. Here he is through 3 and 4, getting roughed up by the 75. Scalise goes down 3 wide underneath Jourdain, and they just make a little bit of contact. Oh, wow.
I mean, from that perspective, it makes me feel like that they didn't understand that there was 3 wide. Because Mopin, excuse me. Mopin was up on the top, and he looked like he was coming down to cover off Jourdain, who was also coming down. They both just ran their line right there into the car underneath them.
Yeah, you know, Zach, I don't know if anybody really did anything wrong there. Obviously, the crash is less than ideal, but Jourdain and Doug both ran what I think are acceptable lines through that dog leg. Here's a look at it again. We'll slow it down even. I mean, Doug's a little low off of 4. Maybe that does straighten out a little bit through this. But otherwise, they they each were at pretty reasonable spots on the racetrack through the dogleg. They just met when they exited it. And I think part of that is from Doug coming off the corner so low, but Zach, I don't find much fault in either driver here. It's just one of those things that happen sometimes. Because it wasn't even the contact that got them. I mean, sure, the contact isn't helpful, but that shot the 83 up into the 66, and then it went wrong from there. You see, here comes Mike Alley. He pile drives Austin. I think that was actually Mark Bender. Pile drives Mark Bender. Here comes Austin Adams. He gets Mopin. Then Rovillo gets White. So a few cases of our favorite brake brand checking in, I think, on the front stretch.
Jourdain just spun out under caution.
Here's one more look. This will show some of the cars that come in afterwards. Oh man. The head-on hit from Open, that is huge. You said Jourdain. Oh, wow.
Car was crab walking already, and from the looks of it, he tapped the apron trying to hit the transition into the pit lane, and well, just got away from him.
And suddenly, Coulter Clark has a realistic shot at the dash for cash against his teammate, Jourdain White. The gap coming into today was 15 points from Jourdain back to Coulter Clark. I see some cars in the pit lane still. Jourdain, one of them. He was trying to keep it on the lead lap. I think the focus right now, Zach, just needs to be get as many repairs as possible, get back on the racetrack when you can. Safety comes first.
For Austin Adams, Mark Hessel, Elijah Mopin, Jourdain White, their races are pretty much over. 3 meatball flags, and the only one without a meatball flag out of that 4 is Jourdain White, but he himself has, per his team, over 13 minutes of damage to repair.
And already an apology, actually, from Mike Alley in the Discord chat to Mark Bender for not checking up quite enough, or said, sorry, you should have slowed down more. His bad there. So, I mean, there were some big hits after the fact. That big one to the nose of Elijah Mopin, that's going to do a lot of damage to each of those cars, Austin Adams and Elijah Mopin. So they're starting to drop like flies, Zach. We're not even 40 in, and we are down to half the field on the lead lap and not involved yet in crashes. Those are Cameron Combs, Coulter Clark, Chris Romano, Zach King, Sean Hughes, Corey Powell, Chad Fox, Chris Etchapar, Greg Van Nice, and Doug Scalise. Here we go. This time around, we will fire things back up into the restart zone. Cameron Combs, the race leader. Green flag, back out at Texas. And in the grass, Chad Fox. He'll get back going. Still no tires for Clark. Zach King now in hot pursuit of that 54 car of Coulter Clark. King into third. He's the points leader.
Think about that for King, too. His biggest competition in the points right now is currently sitting on pit road, 3 laps down. Well, other than Coulter Clark, that is.
Well, Hughes and Combs are closer in the standings still. They are second and third. Hughes not in the dash for cash. Combs is. That's the big focus of today. Of course, that 15-point gap, that's 15 points in the racetrack. 15 spots in the racetrack between White and Clark coming into today. The gap back to Combs was even larger, and I think, honestly, insurmountable. The gap back to Combs, another 8, so 23 points. I don't think there's any way that he can make that up to Jourdain today. I think it's just between Jourdain White and Coulter Clark, and Right now, Clark still would not be winning it. White is in 11th in the pit lane. Clark would be making about half the deficit. Clark is in 4th, making up about 7 spots. So he would make up points, Zach, but not enough. On board with Sean Hughes into turn 3. That sun has to be getting unbearable right out of turn 4. Move to the outside though. Hughes looking around. Coulter Clark. This is for 4th. And pass made. Sean Hughes moves up.
Hughes mounting a good charge off of turn 4. Pulling away from Coulter Clark's sight set on Romano and King just up the road, who are slowly dropping back from Cameron Combs in that 15 car. And you mentioned it already, the Dash for Cash, the 2 cars in that top 10 being Combs and Clark, they're going to be the ones trying to duke it out over the course of this race now, with Jordan White sitting on pit road still.
Yeah, so White is still in the pit lane. There he is, still getting repairs. Mark Bender also still in the pit lane. They are on the same lap. Adams is also on that lap, but he's out. And now Chris Perry is starting to run those guys down. He is now 3 laps behind White and Bender. As there's a battle for the lead. King to the inside. Easy pass made. It looks like a Cameron Combs. Chris Romano going to come around. Forget the Dash for Cash. We've got a race building for the win. It's still 90 laps away.
That was almost a 2-for-1 there, but in the wrong order, as in Cameron Combs almost lost 2 spots in 1 corner. He was right up on the back bumper of Zach King. That low exit's really going to help that 51 car over the 15, because you saw Combs get right up onto the bumper, try as he could to get there. That dirty air just forced him well up the racetrack. That outside line's going to give him a big run off 4 with how flat out you can take it, but Zach King just scooting away.
Not so fast. Cameron Combs down to the inside of Zach King. He gets loosed off at turn 2. Big catch by the 15. He'll slide in behind Romano now. And so we spread out for your top few positions. Combs goes all the way up high through turns 3 and 4. Scalise and Powell battling. Powell falls back into 7th. Contact there. He's in the wall. That other car was, I think that was Rovillo. No, who was that? Thaddeus Friel is who that was. He's back on the racetrack. Just had a big moment. By the way, Chris Perry just passed Jordan White and Mark Bender. It's the first pass that's been made on those couple of drivers. Here's Corey Powell into turn 3. Gets the apron up the racetrack here. Watch the 98 of Friel.
Oh,
Big contact. He locks it down. Oh, that nice. Not quite a miss.
Spectacular job locking it down. That could have been way worse than it was.
And now Friel will come into the pit lane once again. Not a good day at all. And he'll park it in the pits to get some service. Up front, your top 3, it's really just a battle between them right now. Hughes is lurking. Clark is not far back, and put them all on 4 tires. I think the 5 of them are all pretty close. But the fact of the matter is, the top 4 are on tires, 5th place is not.
I think Coulter Clark still hanging tough on no tires is a great sign. Shows that he is committed and able to run that long run really, really well. So imagine if he was on tires, he could be leading this race, but unfortunately that's not the case. You can see him lurking out of camera shot, but here comes the 15 of Combs to try and take the 2nd spot back. Heck, you might go for the lead. King left the door open, shuts it just as quickly. Builds himself about a car length gap for the 15 down the front stretch. But wow, look at that big old send by Combs on the outside line. It's not going to do him any good. Throwing it in on quarter entry like that, you and I both know, Andrew, how it can help, but it can negatively affect your overall pace.
And overall, it did hurt the 15 down in turns 1 and 2, but in turns 3 and 4, it helps him. He gets traction around the outside, and he has the lead across the stripe to complete lap 52 rather. And now King falls back into second place. Chris Romano to the inside. They get a run on Combs.
Combs got loose off of turn 2. That puts King back down to the bottom. That puts Romano back to the bottom. But that outside line is very, very powerful in 3 and 4. He's not going to be clear off exit. King still holds the lead. Combs still second. And as they run back down into turn number 1, you just got to be patient, Andrew. You got to be easy back to the throttle because that outside line can still benefit you in 1 and 2, but it's not going to benefit Combs.
Meanwhile, Romano just wants to go through this and let these two battle themselves. He's just waiting behind for the opportunity to strike.
Well, this is letting Sean Hughes close in. He's closed in about 4/10.
He's still got a second and a half to go.
Seconds.
Fantastic racing between the 15 and 51, but they're just kind of stalling out. They actually gained time through 1 and 2 there on Hughes. I think he's falling back. You know what? If you can make time battling, keep at it. Oh, Combs in the wall that time. Watch out. King's still down there. Romano looking. Barely clear. And that washes the 51 at the racetrack. He's now going to have to run off of turn 2. Romano to the inside. Check this out. King trying to go 3 wide, a lapped car up the road.
King got the run like Combs and McGetton, but Combs again washes up in the corner. And that prevents the 51 from using the run like he had. Now still hanging tough on the outside of Romano. He was barely there off of 4, but the lap car is going to be in the way. King gets in there. Gets clear of the 44. Combs washes up the racetrack again.
They got by Echapar, though. That was going to be one of the harder parts, getting by that lapped car of Chris Echapar. So now the 44 and 51 stay in lockstep formation side by side through 3 and 4. This is starting to allow Cameron Combs to get away. Big dive to the inside now for Chris Romano. That will just barely clear him of Zach King for now. Caution. Thaddeus Friel, front stretch.
Oh, we saw him get loose and go around nearly a few laps ago, and this time he has
didn't get
gone fully
loose.
around.
He got hit.
Oh? Oh yeah, that's true. He did get hit. This time he hits the wall. Just about a carbon copy of what happened last time, except he went further into the grass.
And there was no other car involved.
That too.
This, I think, has to be the point where if you're Coulter Clark, you get tires. You can't go any longer on this set.
He's still running top 5, though. And he saved a set of tires if everyone comes into pit. 4 tires. I mean, I admire the call. When you have not as many cars on the lead lap, you have the opportunity to take a risk like that. Because all in all, you're not going to lose that much time.
We'll see.
Realistically speaking.
We'll see how it works out. It's going to be Combs and Romano at the front of the field. King, Hughes, and Clark your top 5. Then Scalise, Van Nuys, Powell, Fox, and Echapar your top 10. Echapar 1 lap down. Into the pit lane. Everybody here, I think, going to get 4 tires and fuel. I think that's just the move. You've run about 30 laps. A caution or two in there, but it's time. Holmes down the road all the way to the end of pit lane nearly. Probably Jordan White back on the racetrack. He is just a lap behind Michael Rovillo, and there is Clark, and yeah, 4 tires going on his car. Maybe not for Romano, though. I think that was either 2 or none, maybe, for Romano. 2 possibly for Scalise. I guess they caught wind of what Clark did before and want to do the same, because Romano and Scalise, 7 seconds each, no tires there.
Now you're flip-flopping it, though, Andrew. Clark was at the front of the field leading laps. Then he was still top 5, being behind the leaders on tires. Now you've got a driver and a car who were pretty fast in the early stages, and everybody else is not on tires.
Going to be interesting to see how these guys do when they restart. We'll certainly have the front row, I think, be a little off pace. That's Romano and Scalise when they get back to the stripe. As you see a handful of cars trying to get laps back. Harry right behind the pace car. This should be a wave round for the 34, the 2, and the 83 to each catch up to the back of the field.
It's going to give them at least a little bit of a reprieve on how many laps down they are. You know, looking at the counter, looking at the ticker, Jordan is 21 laps down. Michael Ravello, like you said, is 1 lap ahead of Jordan White. He's 20 laps down. And then the first car 1 lap down isn't even 1 lap down. It's Chris Perry in 11th, and he is 10 laps down. So the entire top 10 is on the lead lap.
Yeah, Etchapar got the win behind.
They're all a little further back, Andrew.
Upcoming shows here, Pit Stop TV, though, the next week-ish, almost. There's a look at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The Monday and Tuesday races both are up for picks in the Pit Stop TV Discord in the Whiplash Creative Fantasy game. Those picks are live for Nora at Richmond and BRB at New Hampshire. And then Wednesday, we've got Knoxville Raceway for the Dirt Sprint Car Championship Series, 410 sprint cars at Knoxville. They'll be taking wingless cars there later in May, but winged cars this coming week. And you can catch all these broadcasts and more at our social media platforms down below as the field rolls off of turn number 4 and turns this one back to the hands of Chris Romano and Doug Scalise. Green flag on the way, just shy of halfway. The MX Raps 201 back underway. Old tires for the 44 and 16. The 16 falling back. The 44 holding station. Romano's still got the lead. Combs is charging.
Big send on the outside line once again for Combs. He seems to like it up there. It's not going to do him much good, but he'll have the run off of turn number 2. Stayed side by side with the 44 down the back straightaway, and then turns 3 and 4 have been really, really good on that top line. Back to the race lead. Cameron Combs leads it at the line.
Just barely over Chris Romano. This fight not at all decided, although Combs does get ahead for now. Clark now gets a chance to look up at the 44 and try to find a way by. That would be for second, and Romano's not done yet, I think, with Combs ahead. You can hear Clark able to put these tires to good use, nearly wide open through 3 and 4. Right on that bottom lane. 15 cars, by the way, still rolling in this race. The 5 cars that are laps down are Perry at 10 down. He's in 11th. Rovillo's 12th, 20 down. White is 13th, 21 down. Bender is 14th, 23 down. And Friel is 15th, 25 down. I appreciate all those guys for staying in the race rather than just quitting. We're nearly halfway through this race, Zach. 67 complete, will be halfway. You see we are strung out, single file, but this top 4 is compelling.
Out of the bottom, Coulter Clark. He's got a good run off of 2 down the backstretch. And he'll take that away from Romano. Those 4 tires definitely helping him out. Hughes is going to follow through up to the 3rd spot. And then the next car down the road is Scaleless, and he's a full second behind Romano. And he's got a mirror full of Zach King, about 6/10 back from him. 7, really.
So perhaps a top 3 battle now as the lights come on here at Texas Motor Speedway, getting later in the evening. On board of Sean Hughes, this time by will be halfway for Cameron Combs, Coulter Clark, and Sean Hughes. Again, the gap just not quite enough, I think, for Clark to win the Dash for Cash, but it's close. There is halfway, and if you saw a stutter there off of turn 4, that was the lights turning on and the track re-rendering under those lights. The nighttime is the right time, Zach. The track is cooling. Weather conditions now brought to you by MX Wraps. From 73, I believe the temp was earlier, down to 71.5, and it's going to keep dropping.
That just means the track's going to speed up.
Part of our picks over in the Pit Stop TV Discord is to pick the fastest lap recipient of the day. And that might matter here in the next little bit. Again, we didn't get many picks today, but it just might matter. Looking over the fast lap picks, there's a couple.
Right,
there's a couple for Clark, one for White. Pass though on the way, I think, between Clark and Combs. Clark to the inside. Combs staying up top, and Coulter Clark, I think, is just going to set sail. Pass is made by car 54.
Combs got loose off of turn number 2. Saw a little bit of smoke and saw him just about in the wall.
Looking over the race stats to this point, 4 cautions for 12 laps, 10 lead changes so far in this race, and a pitter now. Problems here for Greg Van Nice. He's been in the wall very hard.
That's a heavy impact right there. Right front is disconnected. No fender on that car. Right front gets rolling as he slows down and actually sits on the ground again.
I believe that was the smoke we saw for turn 2 a little bit ago, and yes, it was. Smashed into the outside wall. He was able to roll that car back to pit lane. That's a spot, and that's why you stay in these races, Zach. That's a spot now for those other guys that are trying to catch up, as there's a pit stop here from Michael Rovillo. He's been on the racetrack long enough now that he needs tires and fuel again. Despite it being 21 laps down, that allows Jordan White to go by. That's another spot for now for that 83 car to keep picking up. Perry in the pit lane as well. He'll be the first to catch Greg Van Nice, assuming he stays in the racetrack.
That's just more and more points to add to your total.
And Rovillo's still in the pit lane. You see him in the background there. Perry gets into his box finally. I have to wonder what's going on for Rovillo. What brought him? I mean, he was at 43 laps. It was time for him to come in, but why is he still in the pit lane? Has to be damage.
More than likely.
Second, third, and fourth, Combs, Hughes, and Romano each driving a Chevrolet trying to chase a Toyota. As these guys work deeper in the race, a big thank you to the partners that make this series possible. Of course, Bully Dog Coffee Company, helping out with every race this season. Founded by Patrick Bowler with nearly 2 decades of experience behind him in the coffee industry, Bully Dog Coffee Company turns the process of making coffee back into a ritual, better supporting you and your caffeine needs, and local dog shelters in Central Arizona in the process. Order your first pound of Bully Dog coffee for as little as $15 with promo code FAST10. That is FAST FAST10 at checkout today. You know, I'll admit, Zach, I am an energy drink drinker. Say that 5 times fast. I typically keep to rock stars, which is funny. They just started sponsoring Tyler Reddick in the NASCAR Cup Series, but point being, I might need to start finding coffee that I like, and my starting place might be Bully Dog. Because we've also got a coffee pot sitting under a cabinet right now, just not getting used. I know you don't partake, but I'll tell you what, these Sunday morning races, they come early, and a little bit of assistance might be nice. Other than...
I can't relate to the coffee.
Canned caffeine and sugar, as here we go. Chris Echebar gets in trouble, he gets in the wall. Now don't get me wrong, I love the product by Rockstar. Fantastic drink, but I probably shouldn't be having them every single day.
The only thing that I know from Rockstar is GTA.
Different company. Rockstar Games versus Rockstar Energy. Big difference there as Romano goes by the 75 of Sean Hughes. You know, I wish we could have done like 6 drivers for this Dash for Cash, Zach, because, I mean, it's great that we had Jordan White, Coulter Clark, Cameron Combs, and Robert Hissong as a part of it. Of course, Hissong not here today, and for that reason, I wish we could have subbed somebody in for him. But also, Romano, Hughes, King, they have been fantastic.
That they have. Oh, excuse me. But they've been lights out for the most part. I mean, roughly all season, it's been a pretty good show between a lot of these guys, and even Coulter Clark. Clark has 3 wins on the season, and I want to reflect back to the points a little bit. Clark has 3 wins. He is 97 points outside the chase cutoff right now. That's got to be about missed races and just things he's not been able to be a part of, but it's always difficult to see a driver who is so dominant so far, having the most wins on the season, and be so far out of the chase cutoff.
Well, he missed the first 3 rounds of the season, and missed a couple more on the way. I know he was at Darlington in the real world, so there were a couple of races that he just missed. Probably 5 even, out of the 10 that have been run. So he's only been here at best 60% of the time so far, and he still is not far out of the chase. Give it another 16 weeks through the summer, and I guarantee you, as long as he sticks to it, this 54 is a lock for the chase. I think each of the top 5, even 6, are locks for the chase. Throw in probably White, throw in his song if he keeps running. I know he's not here today. I will say, I would have thought McMeekin would have been in the chase at the start of the season, Zach, or I guess, you know, midway through the portion that's happened so far. He was so good there for a handful of weeks, and he's not been racing as much lately. I actually picked him today, and he's not here. So, that's definitely somebody that I thought would have been higher up. Let's hit this and look at the standings coming into today to give some visual context. And I was talking about the top 6 or so on the racetrack, but I think it's still mostly true here in the standings. I think Casey Gross races enough and is consistent enough to stay in this top 10. He is admittedly out of the race currently, so maybe I'll eat some words there. Christopher Foote has been good so far, although I don't see him today. So maybe he's not a lock. I don't think his song is a lock right now with the races he's missing. Van Nice in trouble. But let's be honest, Bender, Echapar, Powell, they're not having great days. Powell a little better than the other two. Maybe he gets close to the cut line, and I certainly think, honestly, even after today, Coulter Clark might be at that cut line, Zach, considering the day that Van Nice, Bender, and Echapar are having.
I'm inclined to agree. But I think Bad Nice can try to stay in it as much as he possibly can. He's still running the top 10. There's not too much else that you can do.
He's scored in the top 10, technically, Zach. He's 16 laps down and out of the session.
Oh. Jordan White will pass him. Then Bender, then Perry. Oh, okay, well.
He's scored in the top 10. By the way, Chris Perry has just left the pit lane. He was in there for 6 minutes, nearly 7 minutes in the pit lane for Chris Perry, and just over 6 minutes in the box. So a lot of trouble there for the 34 car, but he's got that car mostly repaired. Rovillo, by the way, Rovillo got back on the racetrack lately. About 11 laps to go. And so there is car number 2. He spent about a minute and a half in the pit lane, about a minute and 5 in the box, and that lost him, I think, about 3-4 laps. He's now behind White and Bender. And Jordan White trying to hunt down all the spots he can get. He's looking up at a top 10. Van Nice just 2 laps ahead. So give it another minute or so, and Jordan White will crack the top 10 once again just by running laps. And it's obviously not great to have a car that is 21 laps down in the top 10, but Zach, the way today has gone, I think anybody who finishes this race will just be happy to have done so.
I'm inclined to agree. It's been chaos so far for a lot of drivers. Coulter Clark is one of the few drivers that hasn't exactly been involved in that chaos, and he's showing it now. We've got just over 40 laps to go, and he is still holding that car well out in front. Combs, Romano, Hughes, King, your top 5. And then it's a big old gap back to Scaleless, who just came off of turn number 2.
Chad Fox, another 10 seconds behind Scaleless. That's another 4. Back to Corey Powell. There he is off of turn 2. And give it a moment. Here comes Clark off of turn 2 as well. That's a full lap around. And there is Sean Hughes, Zach King. So nearing 50 laps to go. Assuming these guys can go to about 40, Zach, this might be right on the edge for them to split this in half each way to the end of this race. This is a shorter intermediate race, only 200 miles. A lot of leagues run 250s at Texas. Pit stop here. Echapar in the pit lane.
Echapar was already 1 lap down. He's going to be 2 laps down now.
Oh, man, that's a lot of right front damage.
Yeah, look at that.
I wonder if that has influenced his decision to pit right here. Maybe that's a recent thing. That was a lot of right front damage. Just want to go back and see. Looks like it was that way for a couple laps. I want to go back a little bit further and see if it's recent. Oh, it looks like he's been dealing with that for a while. There's a lot of damage for Echapar to have right now. And, you know, Zach, here in about 20, 30 laps, if we start talking, you know, unless we get a caution, let's always keep in mind this 88 is this damaged. This could always be a caution at any point in time. I'm not saying Echapar is dangerous. I'm just saying the car is very damaged, and he could cut a tire. He could just not quite handle the way others are expecting. Anything could happen.
With the way his damage is, being on that right front, in more than likely cases, he's going to cut that right front tire if he stays out for too long on a pit cycle.
Right.
and it's just going to end up costing him, and he'll go straight to the outside wall.
Exactly right. It's something to watch for. For driver number 88, meanwhile, still out front. That was just 40 to go the last time by. And now we're starting to cut down. Closer and closer to this pit stop for these guys. I think they're only a couple of laps away from being able to do it.
Biggest thing is just getting that window, Andrew. Set yourself up for the run to the end.
In the fan cam, there you see Cameron Combs. And into the pit lane, here comes Chris Romano. I think this is a little bit early, Zach, but if you've got the numbers to do it from here, the undercut will be important. So Romano is in. Caution immediately.
And the caution is out.
Doug
That's
Scalise,
going to
turn
be
4.
big.
That actually, I don't know, that might help Romano. We'll see, as Bender is in the pit lane as well. Scalise backs down the racetrack.
Does Romano go straight through?
Well, he's in the pit lane. He gets the pit. Scalise was trying to pit as well. He was slow. Tried to hit the apron here to get down to the pits, and oh, that's not it at all. I mean, yes, that is what happened, but no, that's not what you want to happen.
And because the caution came out, Chris Romano went straight through pit road. Did not stop.
Wow, that's going to completely disregard his entire advantage there. He could have had the free pit.
Well, by the time that he was rolling out of pit road, the leaders were already in turn 1. Meaning he would have had to take a wave around the second everyone pitted, therefore negating any positions he would have gained. In fact, I think it was okay. Because realistically, he'd be right where he is.
Whoa, why are we backwards here?
Around.
He just damaged his car a ton. He just backed it into the fence. What just happened here?
Bad Nice is also out of the session, so that's going to be...
Well, that we knew, but here's Rovillo off of turn 2, just checking up to miss Echapar. Gets into Echapar.
Oh.
And then he backs it up here and just wait.
Tries to do a J turn.
Well, I'm no expert, but I learned over the Mythbusters that you gotta do a J turn a little bit differently there and not back your car into a wall. And he has now damaged that car even more.
That's going to cost Echapar the lucky dog. And you know who's actually going to get the lucky dog? Jourdain White. Scalise was involved in the incident. Jourdain was not.
That's another case of awareness so as to not cost someone else their race.
Actually, who is going to get the lucky dog? Because Jourdain White got contact under the caution as well.
I think it's just going to negate. I think it's just going to be none. Or it's somebody we just won't expect. I mean, Thaddeus Friel, actually. I think it's him. Maybe. I don't know. We'll let the sim handle that. That's a mess. By the way, pit stops here. Everybody came in. Combs, Hughes, King, Clark, the new order, Romano in 5th. We were right on the cusp of pit stops to begin with. The 54 lost the lead. He's going to fall all the way back to 4th place for this restart. That is big. As we complete lap 99 here, a big thank you to our partners at the channel. Whiplash Simcams, MX Wraps, ATVO, Murtis Esports, CC's Business, the North American Racing League, Whiplash Creative, and TZO Designs. Again, there is still time. There is still time to make your picks for the NORA Retro Cup Series tomorrow at Richmond Raceway. Of course, the fantasy game closed for today's race here at Texas. You can actually join it if you'd like via Facebook if you search Whiplash Fantasy Racing. You can actually join the NASCAR game still for today and pick for the NASCAR race. But picks closed today for AARN. Of course, they'll open up midweek for Watkins Glen in a couple of weeks. You can still play, though, for the NORA Retro Cup Series tomorrow night, or the BRB Sundance Pro Series on Tuesday. What you got, Zach?
I was going to say, after a little bit of searching, it was Perry that got the lucky dog due to everybody else in front of him. Says 1, 2, 3 cars in front of him that had infinite points that could not receive the free pass.
And so here we go. 3 rows doubled up, the rest single file into the restart zone this time. Combs, Hughes, Clark, King, your top 4. Green flag, 34 to go. Zach, this shot right here, these 5, toss in Jourdain when he's not damaged. He's all right. He saved it. But throw in.
He hit the wall.
Jourdain White to these 5 as Romano's actually slowing down and pitting. Does he have a penalty to serve, Zach?
Drive through from what I'm hearing.
Why else would he be in? Let's go back to the restart. He's
I thought
5th.
It was Ravillo.
So here's Romano. 5th on the restart. Does he do anything wrong on the restart? No.
I'm very confused then.
Was it an admin penalty?
I'm looking. Because I saw Ravillo had a penalty. I'm not seeing any penalty. I do see a black flag. I don't know how he received it.
And there you see the issue for Corey Powell. He just got loose, checking up for Chad Fox on the outside lane. Coulter Clark trying to find a way by Sean Hughes and Zach King. King in 2nd. I think any of these top 4 can win this race. Romano rolling once again. He had a 40-second stop. He did not clear service, it looks like, before pitting. Caution is out. Chris Romano is slow, but Mark Bender is slower.
That's hopefully going to save the 44 car, but that's going to give Scalise the free pass, being the first car 1 lap down.
Powell just spun.
There's Powell down again.
Scalise also slow. And he's got a ton of damage. That left front is junk.
Well, Scalise is now going to not be able to receive the lucky dog, from what I'm understanding, and that gives to Romano. So how about that? How about a save for the 44 car?
Well, so we saw Powell was part of this. We also saw Scalise, of course.
Right here off of turn number 2.
And Bender checking steering underneath Fox. Loose, takes out Scalise. Boom, inside wall for Doug. He's done. How does Corey Powell get in this? Oh, wow.
That's the miss.
Not quite a near miss considering he then hit the wall, but...
Well, if your inclination was that I was going to nominate him, I was not.
It was nearly a near miss. A near miss. Yeah, there you go. Romano apparently sped in the pit lane. So that, okay.
So I'm hearing Etchapar.
So
okay.
Romano
gets the free pass.
Romano sped into the pit lane under green. The caution came out. That is why he went straight through, Zach. Because he had the penalty. He didn't want to get caught there.
No.
And then he still got the penalty later on when he pitted after the caution because he had to serve that penalty under green. So he stayed out throughout the caution, I guess. That is a whole load of strange.
Oh, what did I tell you? Going straight through probably was the best thing for him because he was going to be in the exact same position he was in.
That's one way to do things. Well, next up for these guys, as mentioned earlier, is Watkins Glen. That's in a couple of weeks. No race next week. These guys have a 1-week reprieve to get ready for the first road course of the season. They did not go to Circuit of the Americas earlier this spring. Dover replaced that race, so these guys will be turning right for the very first time all season next week. Or I guess in 2 weeks. Next race at Watkins Glen International. We will then step away for North Wilkesboro and be back for Charlotte on, I believe, May 17th. I believe that's the day. Might be May 16th. It's somewhere around there. And then we will be away again, Zach, for Nashville, Michigan, and Pocono. We'll rejoin these guys at Sonoma. So those are the next few races that we will be covering of the All-American Racing Network Next Gen Cup Series. Of course, all throughout, even when we are not broadcasting this series, we will still have the fantasy game open. You'll be able to make your picks. It does not matter who you are. Anybody can play. Miss King, if you are still out there watching, you can play. You can pick Zach, just not every week. That's the real only stipulation, Zach, is you just can't pick the same drivers week after week. You've got to change up your team each week.
That means I could alternate.
You could. You absolutely could. That is absolutely one thing, something you could do. As long as you're not picking the same exact drivers each week. It's a 1-week cooldown. You can go right back to picking the same team, however you want to do it. That's really the only stipulation. Otherwise, you just pick one driver from each points group. It's top 8, the next 8, and then the rest. You pick a fast lap winner. You pick a race winner. It is very simple. It might look like a lot at first. It might look confusing. I promise it's very simple. One driver from each group. Fast lap, race win, that is it. But here we go, restart on the way. 27 to go, it looks like. Green flag back in the air, Combs and the loud pedal. Hughes and Clark side by side. Jordan White just behind them. He is not for position. He hits the wall anyway. Into the wall down low is Chris Perry. Can he save it? Answer is yes, but he's going to end up towing back to the pit lane, it looks like. As there's a battle now for third. Coulter, Clark, Sean Hughes.
Like to come on, and the excitement is coming out as Combs is leading over King, Hughes, and Clark. Fox into the top 5 for probably one of the first times tonight. We haven't seen him up there most of the night. Now to the inside of Hughes, taps the wall. That gives Coulter Clark the advantage. And down into 3, the black and white pit stop TV car is going to take over the third spot.
Meanwhile, it's cars 15 and 51 leading the way. Cameron Combs, he finally got his first win of the season last race at Talladega. But I feel like he is certainly capable of winning elsewhere, and he's showing it here today. 25 to go. The 15 is out front. Let's see how this battle goes, Zach, and then it's up to us to pick these driver of the day candidates. I think there's a very strong top 4.
That there are. Rolling up on 20 laps to go, so we're getting to that point. Well, we've got a couple of fights amongst the top 4 when you really think about it. We've got King and Combs. We've got Clark and Hughes. Now we've got Clark and King. Then you've got the fight for the win. Then you've got the fight for the dash for cash, and that's about to be the top 2 here in just a moment. As Clark is to the inside of Zach King for that second spot. He's given him a nice bit of room. That 54 car, I don't know if he can be stopped.
Clark to the inside of King, this for second place. Keep in mind, though, 15 points was the deficit for Clark to make up on Jourdain earlier today. He's not making up enough points to get that. There's no stage to add to it. It's just finishing points on the racetrack. He is not gaining enough to do it right now. As King loses third spot to Sean Hughes. I think Jourdain White has got this Dash for Cash locked up so long as he does not stop moving. In fact, he's about 11 laps, 12 laps from picking up 9th place. And if we have any more crashes amongst the leaders, that could be more spots. So Jordan just needs to stay in it. He's getting close where he can't make any more passes, but he's got to stay in it as long as he can in case we get green, white checkers, in case of anything. And Zach, it's that time. 20 to go. This next time by the flag stand. Who you got? Driver of the day.
I think for my first pick, I'm going to have to take Coulter Clark. He's gone back to front a couple of times. He's had a really good strategy to keep himself in the top 5. He's been very consistent overall throughout the day. I think Coulter Clark is going to be my first nomination. As for number 2, I'm probably going to go with Sean Hughes. Kept himself in there all day, and he's had an amazingly solid run. I think these guys have just been on point.
There's Sean Hughes in 75. I certainly cannot look past this guy. Cameron Combs, 40 laps led, got the win at Talladega. It can be daunting sometimes to try and back up a win on a plate track, a super speedway. Suddenly there's pressure on you. You got one win there, but it's a completely different kind of racing when you get back to Texas here. So I commend him for stepping up to the pressure, leading over 40 laps here today. And it looks like he's at least, I mean, he's leading, right? So he's certainly got a great chance for this win. And I have to go 4th place. It has to be the top 4 for me. These guys have been a step above the rest. They've kept their cars clean. Zach King will be my other nomination for driver of the day. That vote will go live on YouTube. That might be the easiest time we've ever had deciding, Zach. It's the top 4, straight up.
No other way to put it.
On board, Coulter Clark, the inside of Cameron Combs. He's looking around for daylight. Of course, he's not going to find much. It is getting to be nighttime. But here's a lap time comparison for your top 4. Combs, Clark, Hughes, and King. And you can see Hughes and King starting to slow down a little bit. Combs starting to slow down a little bit. Clark and Hughes actually were the fastest to that lap. You also see a sneak peek at fastest lap. Combs has the fastest lap between these guys. And I think of the entire race.
You might be correct.
That makes me wonder, did anybody pick him for fastest lap today? I don't think so, actually. So we'll see if that changes at all if we get another pit stop. And hey, keep in mind too, Combs and King, they likely do not have another set of tires. Clark and Hughes, they would, along with Fox maybe. So honestly, Zach, I think Coulter Clark is just hoping for a caution. Make it easy.
I don't make it too easy.
Good to see Adam Ramsey out in the YouTube chat today. The votes are taking off. Split so far between Clark, Combs, and King. Plenty of time still to vote. You're still watching the lap time comparisons as well. Hughes a little faster that lap. Combs and Clark nearly identical. I wonder if Clark was in open track, if he'd be faster than Hughes, though. That lap, Clark really fell off. Again, he's stuck behind the 15. That dirty air might be getting the best of him, Zach.
Well, dirty air always plays a factor at any race I can go to. As Clark gets big time loose, you saw those hands. That could have been way worse than what it was for Clark, but he's going to hang on to it. He's going to keep the car in it.
There is lap traffic. I believe that's Rovillo up the road. Actually, it might be Corey Powell. It's Powell. No, it is Ravello. So Powell then is up the road. He's next up, I think. That is Ravello they're going to pass. You see, Clark is really battling some adverse conditions in that car right now. He gets by Ravello in the 2. And suddenly, Zach, I don't think there's any betting against the race leader, Cameron Combs. 11 to go. He's got a 7/10 of a second lead at the stripe. Sometimes all it takes is getting that breakthrough on a super speedway for a driver to figure it out on the others too. It's just that confidence, that weight off their shoulders. Get the win, go back out, try it again, and suddenly you're a whole lot better.
Confidence boosters in racing tend to lead to stronger performances. I think Combs is showing that tonight. There's Echapar right there to go another lap down. That would be 2 laps down for that 88 car. Put him back on the same lap as Romano. But he gets taken out of the free pass position relatively soon as they close up on Powell just up the road.
There's Powell ahead of the 15 of Combs, inside now of 10 laps to go. Time is running out, not just for these drivers, but for you to make your picks as well over on YouTube for today's driver of the day. It's your top 4, Combs, Clark, Hughes, King. That makes it easy. Back on board, second place. Last lap, Clark was a little bit faster, but he's going to have to find a way by that 15, I think. Now, Cameron's done great earlier in the day, running all over the racetrack, running the top side. But right here, Zach, do you think he's just going to run the bottom, run the lane that he knows Coulter's going to want?
I think your best bet is to just take the dirty air and dump it all on that 54's nose. If I was Coulter Clark, I would try running the middle line, see what I could get out of it. But you see Combs washing up the racetrack as he has most of the race. Clark's looseness is negating any runs that he could get.
Now, I'll tell you what, Zach, within the last week, we've seen Coulter Clark get a breath of fresh air for the race lead and, for lack of a better word, I guess, bully dog him out of the way. That was in the BRV race at Dover this past Tuesday. He had an opportunity. He sent it. He absolutely used the car to make the pass. If he can get a sniff to the inside of Combs, do you think he does it here?
Well, this would be the track to do it. You got a lot more breathing room here than you do anywhere else.
The gap bottom right between these two. Again, he's stagnating, Zach. He's starting to stall out. That lap, Combs a little bit faster. Nearly identical.
See him lurking in the back, Andrew. If anything happens to these top 2, Hughes would be the next one to take it up. Then it'd be Zach King. Clark is just trying all he can. 4 laps to go for that 54 car to try and close in on the 15.
He just can't do anything with that dirty air. He needs a restart. Even if he were to stay on these tires, he needs a restart. Once you're at speed like this, it is just so hard to pass at this racetrack.
It all just evens out.
And for the Dash for Cash, by the way, it looks like it's going to stay in Jordan White's hands. He is up to 10th. Scalise got back on the racetrack. He's going to hold him in 10th spot unless we get a bunch of cautions and Scalise is part of it. By the way, that was 3 to go past the stripe, Zach. We're coming around to 2. I just don't see it happening.
Never say never. It's not over till the checkered flag flies.
Cameron Combs, the race leader, 2 to go. Popsicle sticks, as they say. 3 miles to go here. Combs has such a weird line in 1 and 2. He's at the racetrack, Zach. That's gonna give him some time. Clark is closing in.
He's been running.
He lost about a tenth
That's
there.
the line that comes.
It might be the line.
But
that was not the technique. He just lost a tenth and a half there. White flag this time. Can Coulter Clark get there? Final time around, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. Oh, Clark missed the bottom big time. Combs at the racetrack too, but it's not enough. That time, Combs made his line work. And Cameron Combs got his first win of the season a couple of weeks ago at Talladega. Now he gets it proper. Texas Motor Speedway belongs to Cameron Combs today. Race win for car 15. His second on the season, second straight. It's going to help him in the Dash for Cash, Zach, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I do think it's still going to go to the 83 car. I think he held on just enough. But your race winner today, Cameron Combs, does it big in Texas.
An absolute standout job to get it done. He fought for it all race long. Well-deserved win for Cameron.
And he is a force to be reckoned with. He is a threat for sure now for the championship. If he wasn't already, he's third in points, comes into today with 1 win, makes it 2. He's now going to have the most in the top 3, breaks that tie with Zach King and Sean Hughes. Cameron Combs gets it done over Coulter Clark and Sean Hughes at Texas. We'll take a look back at your unofficial race results. When 201 miles are all said and done, the MX Raps 201 goes to Cameron Combs. He'll get a free wrap painted by yours truly. Cameron Combs gets the win. Coulter Clark second, Sean Hughes third. Again, it's a lot of points for Cameron and Coulter in the Dash for Cash. I think Jordan's still going to win it. We'll find out shortly. Sean Hughes third, Zach King, Chad Fox, your top 5. Those are the only 5 on the lead lap at the end of it. Corey Powell, Chris Romano, Chris Echopar, Doug Scalise, and Jordan White, all differing degrees of laps down.
Yeah, and you see it more present in the remainder of the results. Mark Bender, 24 laps down the 11th spot, with Thaddeus Friel in 12th position. He's 25 laps down. And then it's Ravillo, 29 laps down. And then it's 50 laps down for Chris Perry. And it just gets more and more laps down as you go down the running order. I've had Nice, Austin Adams, 15th and 16th. Elijah Mopin, Michael Alley, Casey Gross, and Mark Hessel. They're all in excess of 90 laps down. You hate to see it for a lot of these guys, Andrew.
You do. Unfortunate days for many this evening, or this morning rather, not this evening. This time I said evening because it's dark outside in the sim, but of course it is only 11:32 a.m. Eastern. It's actually one of the quicker races we've had with these guys. They got it done in a hurry. So big win for Cameron Combs today at Texas. It seems like the T track so far belong to Cameron Combs. Talladega last time out, Texas today. What is it about these T tracks? Do we need to add the letter T to some of these racetracks coming up, Cameron?
Must be. Apparently I'm pretty good at the ones that start with a T.
Talladega, of course, a super speedway. Anything can happen there, but you're able to get the win. That kind of that put the 1 in the the tally in the column, but it really required a lot more here today at Texas. You still led a bunch of laps, 60, but these guys made it tough on you. Did you think Coulter would get you late in the race?
I knew as long as I could dump my dirty air on him that he'd struggle a little bit, and it really seemed to work. I know 3 and 4 a couple times, he'd be right behind me, and I'd just kind of ride there, and next thing you know, he's checking up, so I don't know if it was getting him tight or loose or whatever, but it seemed to be working.
You know, we saw you run on the top side a lot of the race today, and then late, it seemed like you were starting to go back towards the bottom, particularly down in 3 and 4. And I wondered, you know, is he trying to put dirty air on the 54? Was that the goal? Trying to aero block a little bit, make sure he had to find a different way around?
Yeah, definitely. The top side in 3 and 4 was fast. Like, if you're trying to get around a group, you're not stuck in their dirty air, and you could really, I don't know, there's one time I think I passed like 5 or 6 cars down there in one corner. So, I mean, the top side definitely had its advantages for that, but definitely towards the end there, I was just trying to use whatever I could to keep Coulter behind me.
And hey, the driver of the day votes, they're pretty split right now. There aren't many in yet. Those of you watching on YouTube, you got to make your vote for driver of the day. But Cameron, why should someone vote for you other than obviously the glaring win in their face?
Back-to-back weeks. I think that should definitely be considered.
That's fair. Cameron Collins with the win today at Texas, the MX Wraps 201. You get a free wrap painted by me now from mxwraps.com, and maybe we get that on the racetrack here soon. Congratulations, Cameron. Good to talk to you, and hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Cameron Combs with the win at Texas, second place. Zach, that's Coulter Clark. Just not enough he could do late.
All the room in the world to go up there and get him, and just not able to close it in. Coulter, you've got 3 wins on the season. You'll settle for a second place finish tonight. You could have made it 4. What do you think you could have done to get that 4th win of the season?
Really, I just needed to be a little more patient and gave myself wheel damage right there when I had that big hit with the wall, and, you know, I just kind of screwed myself over.
Well, mistakes do happen on the racetrack, and regardless of a wall hit there, you were still relatively mistake-free throughout the course of the race. You led 49 laps. You ran in the top 5 just about the entire day. You went only as far down as 6th. I mean, that's got to be something for consistency on the day.
Yeah, you know, I feel like I would have liked to cap it off with a win, but, I mean, I'll take a second, you know, but, man, I really hate to just lose out on points when I need to be making them up, so.
Still a solid effort on the day for you, Coulter. Do you have any idea how this is going to affect you going into Watkins Glen in a couple of weeks? You've got a super speedway to an intermediate to a road course coming up. How you feeling?
Fine. I feel like as a driver, you kind of just got to be on the quick side of, you know, just making changes. So I feel like the change in tracks isn't really a hard thing for me to adjust to. But I just going to go out there and just try and redo what I did tonight and hopefully just end up one spot better.
Well, you still did an outstanding job today. Congratulations on that second place finish. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again the next time we see you here in the booth.
Anyway, thank you.
Now, I was pretty surprised there, Andrew. I did not realize that Coulter had wheel damage.
You know, Adam Ramsey called it out in the YouTube chat, and I wasn't totally sure. And recently, Adam has been telling me that I got some things spot on earlier in the season with some of his moments in the race. And I got to give him credit. That's a spot on moment for him. He called out the wheel damage just by the input Coulter was putting in earlier. Props to Adam. If you're still watching, Adam Ramsey, you've got that figured out. But third place goes to Sean Hughes today, another Chevrolet on the podium. And Sean, I know you've got the win from earlier this season, trying to add to it today, not able to do so. What do you think it would have taken to get those top 2?
Right, they didn't quite have the fastest car. I'm not sure what they were doing different, but I'm glad I got a podium out of that.
The podium point is certainly going to help. I know the focus the last couple of weeks has been on the Dash for Cash. You weren't a part of that, so kind of playing background to all of that, just putting points together for the season. You know, how good do you feel going into this summer stretch? Dash for Cash out of the way, just focusing now on making the top 10 for the chase.
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing very consistent every race. Just trying to gain points against Zachary. You know, I wish I got more points against him.
Well, Sean Hughes grabs at least some points on Zach King today. Sean, good to talk to you. Best of luck when we get to Watkins Glen in a couple weeks.
Yep, thank you.
Don Hughes with a third place effort today. Here's Zach, and certainly a bunch of points there for Sean in his efforts this season. I believe we can bring in Jordan White. Let's just go ahead and ask him. Jordan, have you gotten any confirmation on Dash for Cash? I think you're going to win it.
On the Dash for Cash, you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
I'm pretty sure I do have it since my teammate didn't win the race, because I believe Combs was a few points back, and I'm pretty sure you get 5+ for the win, and Coulter won that race, he would have had it by 1 point. So I do believe I won the Dash for Cash.
I'll tell you what, I think Doug is working on it now, so we'll let him do his thing in the background, and we'll leave Jordan here just in case. But Zach, the driver of the day vote is tied right now between Coulter Clark, Cameron Combs, Zach King. We need to get some people voting in YouTube. Split up this tie. This three-way tie for the lead has got to be split up. Coulter Clark, Cameron Combs, Zach King. Every option on the board is great, but we got to split things up for that vote as we wait on word on the Dash for Cash. But you know what, Zach? We'll wait on some votes to come in for Dash for Cash, or not Dash for Cash, driver of the day. Next race, Watkins Glen. Of course, we were there recently with BRB in the ARCA cars. How different will it be in these Cup cars?
Oh, it's going to be vastly different. How they can throw it into the corner, how they can utilize the weight transfer going up the hill. I mean, there are so many different characteristics from the next-gen car to the ARCA car that are going to make that Watkins Glen race all that more exquisite, I'll say, and especially through the backstretch bus stop that has caught out so many different drivers time and time again. I think you're going to see a vastly different race than what we've seen here on Pit Stop TV.
And you see the car specs on your screen for the NASCAR Cup Series Gen 7 vehicle. Of course, very different from the ARCA car that BRB races on Tuesdays, but you know, these 5 gears, they will all be used, I do believe, next race out at Watkins Glen. And actually, we'll wait on Dash for Cash to come back, Jordan. I know you guys have been doing some testing at Watkins Glen. How do you feel about it?
I mean, in the next-gen car, it's very different compared to the ARCA car. I never drove it in the past before the horsepower changes, but with this horsepower, I would say it's much harder. I'd say for me, the corner I'm struggling in is actually not even the bus stop. It's the second to last turn. Car gets really, really tight, flies off the racetrack, and feels like you got to back it down there 8 ton compared to the ARCA car. So will be pretty tough, but hey man, I strategically did not get third in points this race, so we'll have to start from the back.
Yeah, you know, the standings, the overall standings are out from Doug. He hasn't posted the Dash for Cash standings yet. You know, your teammate Coulter Clark now 3 points out of the chase. He's finally in that conversation right at the cut line. Is there any way you can help him out into the summer, make sure he stays afloat there at the cut line?
See, like Coulter, I mean, you can see it. The guy can help himself. He's definitely one of the fastest guys in this league. He doesn't need help from me. In a way, at some of these racetracks, I'm trying to play catch up to him. He's been really good. So, yeah.
Well, I gotta wonder, Zach, is anybody gonna break this tie for driver of the day? We're still tied between Clark, Combs, and King. And I'm just wondering, is anybody gonna vote? We've got people watching over here on YouTube. If you have not voted yet, now is the time. Send the link to a friend. Heck, you can, don't tell me, but you can sign in with a different YouTube account. I don't care. Vote.
Cast the vote. Break the tie. Do something to get that tie broken.
Well, here's a look at what's upcoming for us here at Pit Stop TV. The next handful of broadcasts. Next up, the NORA Retro Cup Series at Richmond Raceway. Gonna be fun. 2003 Cup cars, a short track. And we're keeping that general theme of tricky racetracks, actually. Richmond's super tricky on iRacing. So is New Hampshire. That's where Jordan, Coulter Clark, and well, all of BRB is going on Tuesday evening, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's a track that doesn't get used a lot on iRacing, I feel like, in general. And then Knoxville coming up for 410 sprint cars on Wednesday. The North American Racing League sends the pros back out this coming Thursday. That'll be at Virginia International Raceway, and then no broadcasts over the weekend. We'll be back with the NORA Retro Cup Series, I believe, All-Star Race, actually, on April 27th. And then we got to check in with that Adam Buzzio guy if we're doing a better half race. That'll be coming up. That is set to be April the 28th. So a lot going on here all across the board as the weeks go on. And Zach, it's still split between Cameron Combs and Zach King, but we can confirm that Jourdain White is the winner of this season's Dash for Cash. And Jourdain, now that we can officially interview you as Dash for Cash winner, how satisfying is that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Worked really hard. Snagging the win at Kansas was a pretty cool moment. Unfortunately, wasn't on big pit stop, big Fox. But Darlington, it started off pretty bad. I was actually last in the Dash for Cash after round one. And then, to come back and win it, especially after facing the adversity of this race, getting wrecked early on. But, my teammate talked me into not giving up and keep pushing. And I just chugged along and, we got it. So, yeah.
I admire the refusal to quit, the determination to stay in the race. That is admirable for sure. So a top 10 still for you, able to claw back through, get a bunch of spots. That is big, not just for Dash for Cash, but also just for the season as a whole. So congratulations, Jourdain. Hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
Yep. Now I can race the rest of the season.
There you go, Jourdain
Yeah.
White getting, I believe it's $100, Zach, for Dash for Cash. That's a big payday for him. So I know he wasn't the winner on the racetrack, but that's definitely a win.
Give it to me in ones. Spread it around.
There's Jourdain White. And Zach, that's big to add to a driver's confidence for this season, right? That's bragging rights the rest of the year.
Absolutely, you're $100 richer. I'd be bragging about it too. Well, maybe not. Maybe I would. I don't know. $100 is $100.
You'll be $50 poorer here soon at Charlotte, I think, when
come on,
when
man.
Nora goes racing. But anyways, we can go ahead and award as well the Driver of the Day vote win. That is going to go to Cameron Combs. He is today's North American Racing League Driver of the Day. I do believe he had the most laps led, certainly an overwhelming number of them, 60 here, nearly half of the race. So congratulations to Cameron Combs. And Zach, I think that about does it. I know we've been kind of disjointed in this post-race. We've gone over upcoming races. We've gone over it all. A big thank you, of course, to our partners here with the series, Bully Dog Coffee Company, doing so much to make this series happen week in, week out. Founded by Patrick Bowler. He's got over 20 years of experience in coffee. That company turns the process of making coffee back into a ritual, better supporting you and your caffeine needs, along with local dog shelters in central Arizona. Order your first pound of Bully Dog Coffee Company for as little as $15 at checkout with promo code FAST10. Again, that's promo code FAST10 to get that discount when you eat your first bag of Bully Dog coffee. That'll do it for us this morning into nearly noon time here on the Eastern Seaboard. Texas Motor Speedway in the rear view. Next up for these guys after the MX Raps 201, Watkins Glen coming up in a couple of weeks. Hopefully we see you there. Hopefully we also see you tomorrow night. The NORA Retro Cup Series, Richmond Raceway, short tracks with old cars. Gonna be a lot of fun. We'll see you there.